European royalty hosts historic summit, inside the glamorous Amalienborg Palace dinner that united 47 nations. Welcome to B News. In an unprecedented display of diplomatic elegance and royal grandeur, the cobblestone courtyards of Copenhagen's iconic Amalienborg Palace transformed into the epicenter of European unity on November 12, 2025. As twilight descended upon Denmark's capital, the rhythmic cadence of military boots echoed across the historic squares, heralding an evening that would bring together some of the world's most influential leaders under one magnificent roof. His Majesty King Frederik X and Her Majesty Queen Mary of Denmark opened the gilded doors of their residence to host what has become one of the most significant diplomatic gatherings in recent European history, a state dinner commemorating the European Political Community Summit. This wasn't just another ceremonial affair hidden behind palace walls. This was a carefully orchestrated symphony of statecraft, tradition, and modern diplomacy that sent ripples across the international stage. With armed guards standing at attention, the Royal Life Guard and the mounted squadron of the Guard Hussar Regiment created a breathtaking corridor of honor, their ceremonial uniforms glistening under the palace lights as dignitaries from 47 nations arrived in succession. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation as limousines pulled up one after another, discharging presidents, prime ministers, and heads of state who would shape the future of an entire continent. But what transpired within those storied walls? What messages of unity, prosperity, and cooperation were exchanged over the clinking of crystal glasses? And most importantly, what does this historic gathering mean for the future of Europe and the millions of citizens it represents? Tonight, we pull back the velvet curtain to reveal the untold story of an evening where monarchy met modern politics, where centuries-old traditions embraced contemporary challenges, and where the fate of a continent was discussed over courses of exquisite Danish cuisine. If you want to stay updated on the most captivating royal stories and exclusive diplomatic insights that mainstream media won't show you, smash that subscribe button right now and hit the notification bell so you never miss our breaking coverage. The magnificent spectacle began long before the first guest crossed the threshold of Amalienborg Palace. As afternoon faded into evening on this crisp November day, the Danish capital had been preparing for hours to showcase its finest traditions and hospitality. The four identical Rococo palaces that comprise Amalienborg, arranged in a perfect octagon around an equestrian statue of King Frederik V, had been meticulously prepared for this momentous occasion. Every window gleamed, every surface polished to perfection, and the Danish royal standard fluttered proudly in the Baltic breeze. The Royal Life Guard, Denmark's elite ceremonial infantry unit responsible for protecting the royal family, had assembled in their distinctive dark blue uniforms with red trim and towering bearskin caps. Standing shoulder to shoulder with the mounted squadron of the Guard Hussar Regiment, whose members sat astride magnificent horses, their silver breastplates catching the last rays of November sunlight, they formed an imposing yet welcoming gauntlet of military precision. This wasn't merely pageantry for pageantry's sake, it represented the living continuity of Danish royal tradition stretching back centuries, a tangible connection between past and present that lent gravitas and legitimacy to the proceedings. The choice of Amalienborg itself as the venue carried profound symbolic weight. Built in the 1750s, these palaces have housed Danish royalty since 1794, witnessing the ebb and flow of European politics through revolutions, wars, alliances, and the emergence of the modern European project. By hosting this dinner within these hallowed halls, King Frederik and Queen Mary weren't just providing a venue, they were anchoring contemporary diplomatic efforts within a framework of historical continuity and stability. As the first motorcades approached, security personnel discreetly positioned throughout the square maintained vigilant watch while trying not to disrupt the ceremonial atmosphere. The juxtaposition was striking, ancient military traditions meeting cutting-edge security protocols, all in service of facilitating dialogue between leaders grappling with thoroughly modern challenges. The moment King Frederik X rose to address his distinguished guests marked the emotional and diplomatic pinnacle of the evening. Standing before an assembly that represented over 700 million European citizens, the Danish monarch delivered words that resonated far beyond the ornate dining hall where they were spoken. "I raise my glass to Europe and the people of Europe," he declared, his voice carrying the weight of both personal conviction and institutional authority, with the wish for happiness and harmony, progress and prosperity for us all. These carefully chosen words, which can be read in their entirety on the royal family's official website, encapsulated the evening's purpose while honoring the complex tapestry of national identities and shared European values represented around the table. The King's toast wasn't a lengthy policy address or a partisan political statement, it was something far more powerful in its simplicity and universality. By invoking the fundamental human aspirations of happiness, harmony, progress, and prosperity, he found common ground that transcended the often contentious specifics of trade agreements, security arrangements, and regulatory frameworks that typically dominate such summits. This rhetorical approach reflected a sophisticated understanding of royal diplomacy's unique role in the 21st century. Constitutional monarchs like King Frederick cannot and do not make policy, but they can articulate shared values, model civility and mutual respect, and provide a neutral space where political rivals can meet as honored guests rather than adversaries. The setting amplified the message's impact. Imagine the scene. Beneath glittering chandeliers that have illuminated royal banquets for generations, surrounded by portraits of monarchs past, seated at tables adorned with the finest Danish porcelain and silver, leaders who might clash vigorously in Brussels or Strasbourg found themselves united in a moment of reflection on their common purpose. The Queen, radiant at her husband's side, embodied the modern European reality, an Australian-born woman who has become beloved in her adopted homeland, representing the continent's increasingly cosmopolitan character while honoring its deepest traditions. The European political community, the catalyst for this extraordinary gathering, represents one of the most ambitious attempts at continental cooperation since the founding of the European Union itself. Established in 2022 in response to geopolitical upheavals that reminded Europeans of their interconnected fate, the EPC brings together not just the 27 EU member states, but also candidate countries, members of the European Free Trade Association, and other European nations in a forum for dialogue on shared challenges. This inclusivity makes gatherings like the one hosted at Amalienborg particularly significant. They represent Europe in its fullest geographic and political sense, transcending the sometimes divisive question of EU membership to focus on broader continental interests. The timing of this November 12 summit carries special resonance. As 2025 unfolds, Europe faces a complex array of challenges that demand coordinated responses, managing relations with powerful neighbors, addressing climate change's accelerating impacts, ensuring energy security, managing migration flows humanely and effectively, maintaining economic competitiveness in an increasingly multipolar world, and defending democratic values against both external pressures and internal erosions. These aren't problems any single nation can solve alone, regardless of its size or resources. They require exactly the kind of high-level dialogue and relationship building that events like the Amalienborg dinner facilitate. Denmark's role as host also reflects the country's particular position within European affairs. As a relatively small nation that has nevertheless carved out significant influence through principled diplomacy, strong democratic institutions, and economic success, Denmark exemplifies the possibility of punching above one's weight on the international stage. By opening their royal residence for this purpose, the Danish monarchs put their country's soft power on full display, demonstrating how tradition, hospitality, and diplomatic skill can create spaces where substantive progress becomes possible. The dinner represented not just the formal proceedings of a political summit, but the crucial informal dimension of international relations, the conversations over wine, the relationships built through shared experience, the human connections that make subsequent negotiations more productive and compromises more achievable. As the last guests departed Amalienborg Palace in the late hours of November 12, stepping back through the honor guard ceremonial formation and into their waiting vehicles, they carried with them more than just memories of an elegant evening. They took away a renewed sense of shared European identity, strengthened personal relationships with fellow leaders, and perhaps most importantly, a reminder that beneath the technical complexities of contemporary governance lie timeless human aspirations for peace, prosperity, and cooperation. King Frederick's toast, simple yet profound, traditional yet forward-looking, will likely be remembered as crystallizing the evening's spirit and purpose. The image of European leaders united in a Danish palace, raising their glasses to collective hopes and shared futures, offers a powerful counternarrative to the forces of division and fragmentation that have sometimes threatened the European project in recent years. This is what makes events like the Amalienborg dinner more than mere ceremony or diplomatic theater. They are active exercises in building and maintaining the web of relationships, mutual understanding, and shared purpose that makes international cooperation possible. The Royal Life Guard and Mounted Squadron, having maintained their vigil throughout the evening, finally stood down, their role in this historic night complete. Yet the work they helped facilitate, the conversations, commitments, and connections made within the palace walls, will continue shaping European affairs for months and years to come. In an era often characterized by political cynicism and institutional skepticism, there remains something remarkably powerful about gathering leaders in a space that has witnessed centuries of European history, reminding them of their responsibility not just to current constituents but to future generations who will inherit the continent they shaped through their decisions today. Now we want to hear from you. Do you believe traditional royal ceremonies like this still have meaningful diplomatic value in our modern, digital age, or are they merely expensive relics of a bygone era? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to share this video with anyone interested in the fascinating intersection of monarchy, diplomacy, and European politics.